Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple. Today we have a review. This one is for Cryptid. It's from Osprey Games. It is a 3 to 5 player deduction game, and it's very, very unique.
Yeah, it's purely deduction, and in a way I've never seen before, where you're looking for things on a map, or looking for a thing, the cryptid, on the map.
Yeah, one of the unique things about this game is that there's not an antagonist. There's not one person that you're trying to find, unlike what Letters from Whitechapel, Fury of Dracula, Hunt for the Ring. Everyone's searching for one thing, and that's the cryptid. Now think like the Yeti or
Loch
the
Ness
bottomless
monster,
yeah, any of those different mythical creatures that people still think exist today. There's one spot on this board, and one spot only, and where this creature exists. Each of us at the beginning of the game is given one clue on where it could possibly be, according to our clue. The idea is trying to deduce where the other people's clue is, because once you do that, they all pinpoint to one very particular location on the board.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about this game, is there's one of these hexes, and only one each game, where the cryptid habitat is that what they call it. And like Jeremy said, we're each going to get a clue, and just to start things off, getting your clue is a game in and of itself, because you can either do it the analog way and use these cards, or use the app that you can download for the game. Or actually,
it's just on their website. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And it's a brilliant website, but like I said, if you don't have access to the internet, you can actually use these books and these cards to get the game going.
Yep, so the idea here, again, is try to find this cryptid. The board itself is a modular board, so these all come apart. There's 6 different pieces. The website or these cards are going to tell you how to lay it out, because it's going to be moved and changed, but it's always going to look functionally the same way. On this board, there's 5 different types of terrains. You have like mountains and waters and forests and so forth. But there's also 2 different types of habitats. You have bear habitats, and then you have cougar habitats, which are the red outlined areas. And then you have 2 different types of structures. You have your abandoned shacks, and then you have your standing stones. There's another color in here, the black, which is for the advanced game, which makes the game even more difficult to try to pinpoint that particular location. But these are just to show you equidistance areas and where your clue could possibly be.
Yeah, they open up the game space for a little bit more clues to be involved, and like Jeremy said, when you add the black structures on the board too, that's even that much more. Not to mention the fact with the advanced game, it opens up different types of clues. In the basic game, you can't have clues that say not in this sort of space, whereas in the advanced game, it can say you're not in desert.
Yeah.
It gets your head melting a little bit faster in the advanced game.
So speaking of the clues, if you choose to use the analog version, there's like 90-some clues in this game of where your habitat could be, and it's a variety of different things. It could, just like you had mentioned, it could be like, it has to be in water. It has to be in water or desert. It has to be X number of spaces away from a standing stone. It has to be X number away from a blue standing stone. So there's a variety of different things that people are trying to deduce where it is. But the functionality of the game is very simple. Once it's set up, you're ready to go. And there's 2 things you can do on your turn. You can either question, or you can search. And that's done with this black pawn that you see here. And you simply look at one of the players at the table. I could choose David and say, David, is the cryptid, according to your clue, not according to my clue, but according to your clue, could your cryptid be in this location? And now he has the opportunity to answer that, and you have to answer 100% honestly.
Yeah, there are some guidelines, obviously, and honesty is at the top of the list. But I would look at that space, think of my clue, and think, okay, yes, it is, or no, it's not. Now, here's a couple of things that can happen. If it's not, I'm going to take one of my, what we call no cubes, and you're going to put one of your cubes in that space to signify to Jeremy and the rest of the players at the table that no, that doesn't work for my clue. Now, what's interesting, since Jeremy asked me that and received a no answer, then he has to take one of his no cubes and put it anywhere on the board that is a no for his clue, thereby giving everyone at the table a little bit more information.
Now, if it was possible, he won't place the cube. Instead, he's going to place one of his circular discs that says yes. Now, everyone knows that his habitat could be in water. It could be 1 space away from desert. It could be 2 spaces away from the forest, 1 space away from the swamp, 3 spaces away from a structure or a bluish shack. I mean, there's a variety of things that you're trying to deduce in your head, but that information right there gives everybody at the table a little bit of a guidance on where it could possibly be. Now, the other thing you can do on your turn, instead of questioning a location, so I went in there and said, could it possibly be? Instead, you can try to end the game and say, I want to actually search this location. Because maybe at that point in the game, you have a lot of information on where people are. You're starting to deduce where other people could be. You know, of course, where you are. And I could say, well, David, I know that this location is mine. So in order to prove that to everybody, I have to lay down one of my own search cubes because I'm giving information to other people. So this is different than questioning. And then we're going to go around the table in clockwise order, trying to see if other people are in that location.
Yeah, so effectively, Jeremy is saying right off the bat, this space works for me, everybody.
Yeah.
Does it work for you? Does it work for you? And like he said, it goes around the table. If everyone puts a yes disc on there, game over. Jeremy just won because he figured out where the spot was where the cryptid is. However, if it goes around the table, say it gets back all the way over to me, 3 people said yes, including Jeremy, and then I say no, it doesn't work for me. Again, a lot of information is shared at the table, but then Jeremy again has to put one of his no cubes out somewhere on the board.
Yep. And it's as simple as that. And again, you're going around the table trying to deduce where players are. Now, there is one of the situations where it may come up where, say for instance, through the course of the game, someone's already deduced that this is my possible location. But I still want to search this location because I don't know if it's other players. If you search in a location where one of your own discs has already been placed, now you can only have either a disc or a cube at any location.
Right.
But if I wish to search this location, I have to physically take another one of my discs and place it into another possible habitat for myself. So you can't just search in a location where you already have a disc.
Yeah, it's a bit of the, you can't just willy-nilly go around the board without giving some information to players. So that they have that baked in there. And some other guidelines, you'll never be able to place or interact with a space that has a cube already on it.
Yeah.
So, because everyone knows that that space has a no from someone.
Yeah.
So while it might be a yes for you or someone else, it's not the space where the cryptid is.
Yeah. And that's the game. You're just going to keep going around the table until that has been 100% deduced and someone's done a search in a location and has found the cryptid. Incredibly deceptively easy to play, but it's super fun to play. Let's go ahead and get into the review.
Yeah, this game, the first word that comes to mind for this game to me is elegant, because it's the most simple deduction I think I've ever played, and it's some of the most satisfying deduction I've played. And while on the topic, this is not deduction where we're all working together. If that wasn't clear, we are competing with one another. So this example that Jeremy gave earlier, where this space might be a yes, but it could be because it's in water or next to desert or 3 spaces away from a shack. When you place your no's and yeses out on the board, you want to take that into consideration because you don't want to give too much information. If mine's 3 spaces away from a shack, I might want to keep placing in water around the board, so everyone concludes, oh, David's clue must be
In water.
In water.
Yeah.
So there's some game to be played on either side of the turn.
That's very interesting. The other portion that I really like about the game, as we alluded at the very beginning, Fury of Dracula, Letters from Whitechapel, Spec Ops, all of those are typically the table against one player, one against many. This game, everyone feels like they're participating and trying to find one particular location. There's no antagonist in the game, which makes the table
Except the game itself.
Yeah, except the game itself, but it makes the dynamic at the table enjoyable for everybody, because typically when you play those games, whoever the antagonist is, it's always the most fun. Like trying to hide from the other players. In this case, there's one hidden location when everyone's trying to deduce what the other player is hiding from them, the information they're hiding from them, which is really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, and even that struggle, the when you fail, quote unquote, in this game, where you think, okay, I know where this is, I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
Jeremy's yes, they're a yes, then this guy's a no. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
How? I was certain that's where you were, but now you're not. Now I go back to like the drawing board and trying to figure out where they're at. But then you can look back out on the board and go, okay, let me look at their spots again.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's not that, it must be this other thing that I was overlooking.
Which also leads into the other sense of satisfaction. Even if you lose in this game and you don't get it, once the answer is revealed and everyone says, well, mine was this, and then you start looking at everyone and you're like, that's it. It's like,
it was right there.
It was right there. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I just didn't see it. So there's a huge sense of satisfaction, even if you don't win the game at the end.
Yeah, this game for sure took us by surprise. We got this just a couple weeks ago, and we've played it quite a bit now. So it's safe to say this is definitely a Man vs. Meeple approved. I'd say the one caveat is it can vary with player count, for sure. I think we played it with 3 a few times. We played it with 4. Played it with 5. On the 5 end of the, you just need to be prepared for a more complex game, because there is a lot on the board, and there's a lot of variables. It really starts to melt your brain at 5 players.
Yeah, 3 and 4 is definitely a sweet spot. The other thing I say is there's a little bit of disconnect between this and the art on the game itself. Now, I love this. Quanshai has incredible talents with the art, but I would say that this doesn't really match. So someone who goes in the game store is going to look at this and say, oh, wow, I'm getting a cool little creature game, and they play this out. It's a purely abstract deduction game. it could be a little bit misleading. However, said that, I love the look of this game. Like it's so simple that it needed this kind of look in order to convey the gameplay itself.
Yeah, I think some people might look at these pieces at first and think, oh, that's very abstract.
Missed opportunity or something.
I really think it would be a mistake to have made these more ornate structures that look like research facilities. Just these simplistic, I can look very quickly and say, okay, there's a yes, no, and see the shapes and the colors very easily.
Yep. So guys, that is Cryptid from Osprey Games. 3 to 5 players, plays in about 30 minutes. It's super
very quick.
If you guys have any questions, make them in the comments below. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and everything else that we do, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.